Hello, everyone, and welcome to what is hopefully the first of many videos where I'm going to be sorting through some of my magic card collection that I've put off for far too long. So, for today, we've got this Edge of Eternity's bundle, along with a pre-release kit and a single Final Fantasy collector booster that my hope is to sort through, probably just put them into piles, maybe alphabetize, we'll see, depends on how productive I feel. So, to start with, we of course got just a loose stack of cards, and you can kind of tell the Final Fantasy collector booster is, a little prinkly, but I'm gonna sort through them, do my best to keep them relatively contained. I think the plan is foils, rares, and then colors. So all of these here are foils because of the curl, and then some rares. At least I think this one's not a rare, that's a multicolored, so we'll put that over there. So foil, multicolor, some rares. That's a rare. Took me a second because I didn't have the set symbol on there. Cloud, rose, and a token, so it looks like we're already out of the Final Fantasy, which there was one other card in there that I decided not to put in the stack because it's in an actual sleeve somewhere. Okay, let's do the Edge of Eternities then. So, we got this. Looks like I sorted out some of my rares already. Yeah, so Eldrazi Temple, Mutinous Massacre, Nexus of Fate, Elegy Acolytes, Bioengineered Future, Mightform Harmonizer, Pinnacle Emissary. Those are rares. Emissary Escort is a foil. All of those are rares, so they can go in the rare pile. Foily Consult the Star Charts, which is pretty sweet, honestly. I need to find a deck for that. And then I think these are all foil, one of each of the basics for Edge of Eternities. And then we get into some actual commons and uncommons. Yeah, so we'll try to black, blue. We'll do black, blue, and white up top. White, green, red, green, colorless, I suppose. Slide that over just a little bit. There we go. So there's a lot of cards in here that I personally am a big fan of. I think Edge of Eternities is one of my the basic lands. One of my most favorite sets in quite some time, actually. I was very skeptical when they announced it, but I think they did a great job with it, and I think that the focus on not using tropes really helped them quite a bit. So, I also really like the art. I mean, look at that. Is that not gorgeous? I don't really know where to put lands. I suppose they can go down here. Some tokens. Oops, that's the rare pile. We don't want that. Let's put this. There we go. And I will say, I am pretty new to making videos, so if anyone has tips or tricks or anything you would like to see, please let me know, because my hope is to continue this, obviously, but I think that it is something that I imagine people don't want to watch card sorting over and over. So if you're interested in anything else, please let me know. Mainly because I do have other things I can do related to tabletop gaming, which I think is the main focus of the channel. So we'll see. But right now, like I said, I need to sort through some of these cards because it has been a big stack that's been piling up, and I know that the longer I take to sort it, then the less likely I'm going to be able to actually sit down and do it when given the chance. I keep getting distracted by the art on the cards. I think that for the most part, this shouldn't take a super long time. I imagine that the color sorting is easier. Sorting them into alphabetical, that may take a while. So we'll see how long that takes us. Also, look at this little guy. Look how beautiful he is. Little Robo Corky. We love him. But unfortunately, I did not get as much Edge of Eternities as I was hoping to, because my LGS sold out very, very quickly. So I only wound up getting the pre-release kit and the bundle, and I got those both during pre-release weekend. So these are all foily lands. Those must have come out of the bundle. Yeah. But, like, how can you not love this art? Look at that. Even if you're not big into space, you gotta at least love the artwork. What the heck? I must have picked up some Modern Horizons 3 at some point, or maybe just picked up Draft Chaff. Oh yeah, this is just kind of random nonsense, looks like. Asylum Visitor. Flotsam and Jetsam. See, I don't even remember picking up these cards. It's a Foily Molten Gatekeeper. And then we're back to Edge of Eternities. Okay. We're almost done with this, and then we just have the actual kit to go through. But to be perfectly honest, I know a lot of people would disagree with this statement, but I actually really enjoy sorting through my cards. I think it's kind of a relaxing in a way. Like, it's just kind of a way to turn my brain off and do whatever. So now the kit itself. Let's see if I can get all this out. Oh, I accidentally. Looks like I didn't even unsleeve my pre-release deck. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like there's still some sleeved cards in here, but look at that. I will say my LGS, they ran out of all of the product pretty quickly, but this is actually a buy a box promo, and I did not buy a box. I only bought the pre-release kit and the bundle, but the owner was nice enough that I did both of those things on pre-release weekend, that he tossed in a buy a box bundle, which was very, very nice of him. So go support your local LGSs. Yeah, this is my pre-release deck. I was on Jeskai artifacts for the most part. So let's unsleeve that, because we may as well, right? So I will say I did not do well at the pre-release. I wound up, I think, 1-3. No, I was 2-2. I wound up going exactly even, which is not great, but certainly not terrible. Sammy, though, limited bomb right there. Sammy's phenomenal in limited. Let's see, the other big winners for limited. Tezzeret, while a hit in terms of pulls, was not great in limited. I did get to ultimate him once, though. Did not lose that game. That's for sure. Can't get this one out of the sleeve. There we go. Pinnacle Emissary. This was the all-star. Anytime this hit the board. Absolutely phenomenal card. Second Sammy. And I did have to pull out my basics. So that's why you're not going to see any of the normal basics in here, is because I borrowed basics from my LGS, and obviously if you're going to borrow basics from your LGS, then you need to make sure to return them, because we're all nice people who want our LGSs to prosper. So make sure you do that. Oh, this was the other game-winning card of the pre-release. Target player mills cards equal to your life total, so you just hit them with it before you take any damage. They mill 20, and that's half of their starting deck. So it really throws them off. Makes it a lot harder to win when they lose half of their cards. This thing was also a bomb. Stelly Reclaimer. Very, very good. Okay. We're getting to the end of the deck. And then we just gotta sort through the rest of the kit and then see where we're going from there. But I can't imagine that this will take too long. I say that, and then it's gonna take me a long time. I know how this works. This was the other big all-star from pre-release. Anti-causal Vestige. Very, very good. Also foil, which is very fun and fancy. These, yeah, these must be prize packs, so they're not sorted through. Most of the pre-release kit should already be sorted by color, but not necessarily all of it. Some more foil, some tokens. I think that one thing I really did enjoy, now that I've played Edge of Eternities a few times, is how many different archetypes are mostly viable in Limited, even though I know it's a Swarmyard. Does depend a lot on your rares, because sometimes it's just unlucky you don't get good stuff. But you've got the artifact deck is viable, +1/+1 counters is viable, anything in green is viable. I would argue green is by far the strongest color in Edge of Eternities Limited. Yeah, see, this is where I already sorted through, because I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing for the pre-release, instead of just throwing random nonsense together, which I kind of did anyway. But yeah, I did not wind up playing green, even though, like I just said, I think it's the strongest archetype. I probably should have played green, but did not. I did get this boy, though. Oh, baby. Sliver Overlord. Absolutely gorgeous. And I actually have a Sliver Overlord commander deck, so very, very sweet to get that. And then the pre-release promo that I got was a Chorale of the Void, so very cool. But that is all the cards that I opened. Now I think the game plan is to sort them, and then we'll be pretty much done. So my usual game plan for when it comes to sorting cards is alphabetized, with the exception, obviously, of basic lands, because I feel like you've got to be a bit of a monster to sort your basic lands by alphabetical rather than color order. There we go. And then let's see what's next. So this is where I get to admit I have a bit of a weird way of sorting my cards. So for everything that's not a basic land, I typically sort them in reverse order, because I keep track of what I have and input them into like an online binder. And by doing that, if I put them in reverse order, then when I sort through them online, I'm able to put them back in like the actual order of things. So in this case, it would be basics at the back, then colorless cards, colorless lands, then colored lands. And I believe I've always considered these to be colorless lands, even though they have the cycling cost. So we're gonna put them in, like I said, the reverse alphabetical order. And then the basics reversed as well. See if we can find the command bridge again. And the forest. Okay, and there we go. We'll do multicolored. Multicolored is another tricky one. I have personally always sorted them in guild alphabetical order, so you get to see a little bit of the method to the madness. So for example, Sammy here would be Boros. Boros alphabetically comes before Golgari. Flotsam Jetsam is a 3-color card, so it would go in the front. Azorius, Simic, Selesnya, Golgari, and Orzhov. There we go. multicolored sorted. Tokens are a little tougher because lately they've been printing double-sided tokens, and it's very difficult to sort them when there's two halves. But a lot of times what I'll do is go through and try to pick out the actual token that I want. So for example, the landers versus the robots, but like still need some robots. Slivers, landers, robots. Ooh, that's a fancy lander, we'll take that one. Drone, lander, fanatic. We'll take the sliver over the robot. Take the drone. Take a robot, because I haven't picked out a robot too much. Lander. See, like this one is munitions. Didn't have munitions anywhere else. And then once you've got those, typically what I'll do is just go through and sort them by, if they're the same name, they have a collector number. So this lander is 7, this lander is 6. Reverse order means 7 would go after. Robot, sliver, lander, drone, lander. Lots of landers, which I think is a good thing. I really like landers as a, I was gonna say mechanic. I don't know if it technically counts as a mechanic in a set, but I really like it regardless. I think it's actually very powerful and very good for colors other than green to be able to get permanent land ramp. Some robots, and then munitions. There we go. One of the nice things about sorting all these cards, nice for you watching, not necessarily me, is you'll probably get to see how much I forget the alphabet. So actually, you know what, let's do colorless next. So nutrient blocks, chrome companions, thaumaton torpedoes. There we go. Nice and easy. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm very much a fan of sorting cards. I think it's just a little bit cathartic. It's just kind of, it's a quiet activity. It's something I can do to just kind of chill. And I know a lot of people do not like it, but I feel like I'm a little bit lucky that I do. But you may see me make some mistakes because I will sometimes just not be paying attention, zone out a little bit, put a card in the wrong spot. It would not be unheard of. But one of the nice things too about sorting through the cards is if at any point I'm like, oh, I need a specific card for a specific deck, then in theory, mind you, I should know where to go to get it. Whether or not that always works that's a different story. Because there's definitely times where I'll know I have a card and I just cannot find it. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, have another stack of cards that I should actually be sorting as well with these, but I suppose I will save that for another time because I lost them a while back, and come to find out that someone I live with actually put them somewhere where I would never have found them. They were in just like a little storage box somewhere. But see, my brain is not functioning. This should go here. Oh, see, and I made a mistake. There's 2 Glacier God Maws and a Harmonious. So put them in the wrong order. There we go. Green. Done. Relatively simple. Red next. And one of the other nice things about sorting through like one set at a time is there's not a ton of cards, which is nice. And even if there were a ton of cards, a lot of them are the same because they're from the same set. So being able to very quickly and efficiently sort them to where they need to go makes the process that much easier. Let's see. But a lot of them, like there's a Caveron Harrier, Caveron Skywarden, Caveron Turbo Drone. A lot of them tend to share names. Not like full names, obviously, but like, you know what I'm saying. They have like the same general starting name or type or whatever. Okay, there we go. Red. Done. So we're getting there. And I'm actually going to move these into our box here because I imagine I'm going to start to run out of space. So separate those out. We'll keep going. Pull these down so that way we can actually see what we're doing. Black up next. And I think that other than green for limited, I think black is probably the next strongest, but an argument could be made for red. Honestly, I like pretty much every color in limited except blue, and I think that the vast majority of that is because blue, more so than the other colors, really relies on its rares, and you definitely do not want to be reliant on your rares in limited. Like lots of virus beetles. And that's a reprint, so I know I already have some Virus Beetles lying around. But another nice thing about going through and doing this is I only ever keep a playset of a card. So I only ever keep like 4 of a card. And I actually run an after-school games club for my students. And so by only keeping 4 of a card, if I ever have extras, I can go in and give them to the kids. And they love that. They absolutely love that. And I've even got a little classroom store set up in my classroom where the kids can earn, fake money for going above and beyond during the week and then spend it in our store. And I always keep magic cards in there for the kids so they can kind of like earn some magic cards. They love it. They go absolutely nuts for it. These are middle schoolers, for context. Not sure how well that would work in like a high school, but fun regardless. Honestly, high schoolers might love it too. I'm also going to apologize if at any point you hear dogs running around. I live in a home that has multiple people, and some of us, not me, some of us have dogs. I actually have guinea pigs who are also very loud, but they're not running around on the floor right above me. So if you do hear dogs, I do apologize. But anyway, yeah, we got through black. We're gonna move on to blue here, which I think blue, well, I've already mentioned, is my personal least favorite in Limited. I think the actual cards themselves for Constructed are probably among the strongest. So that's a nice little reason to be finding some of the blue cards, I think. I will say though, if you did wind up in blue for Limited, Cryo Shatter, this card's absurd. Being able to lock down a creature and know that even if they somehow manage to crew, or I suppose station, a starship, they're destroyed, they take damage, they're destroyed, they can't attack, can't block. Phenomenal card. That was always, if you did find yourself in blue, Cryo Shatter, All-Star. So I can already see coming up that I accidentally put a foil in this pile, so whoops. See, this is where I'm like going through the alphabet in my head to find out where G goes. Right, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then H, I. Oops, I accidentally put a Meccan in there too. I don't know how the alphabet works. I'm not gonna question it. That is beyond my pay grade. As if I'm getting paid for this. Let's see. There we go. There we go. It's weird that I only got one Cryogen relic. Because this is like an actual card from the set. This is seeing standard play. And it's a common. And I pulled one out of the entire set between a pre-release kit and a bundle. That's wild. Put those away, move on to white. We're almost done. Honestly, this went a lot faster than I expected. And I'm not sure if that is a good thing or a bad thing, considering I know I'm going to do this again when the next set comes out, because I am a sucker for new pre-releases. And I'm going to be perfectly honest right now, while I don't expect the next set, the Spider-Man set, to really be all up my alley, I think it'll be fun, but it's definitely not the set that I'm the most excited for. This was the set that I was the most excited for this year. Avatar, though. Avatar is very, very quickly moving up in my anticipated list. I do wish that they included Korra, but I know I'm one of the few weird people who prefers Korra to Last Airbender. You can give me all the hate in the comments for that. I think it had a better rounded out story. Also a lot more mature, which obviously came out when I was older, so played into it, I'm sure. Alright, so done with white. So, let's do the rares first. So rares, when I'm sorting through, will typically put them in color order and then alphabetically within those colors. So for example, Sliver Overlord, being a multicolored card, would go before lands, but after the main colors for Ice Steel Explorer, Elegy, and then we're gonna put colorless land. It's a colorless land. Alright, Thrumming, Hivepool, Thrumming. Yep, after that, Steli, Space Time, Zazorius, Pinnacles, Izzet, Tezzeret, should go there. Green, white, Core Void again. Okay, so there's the rares sorted out. And so the very last piece, very last thing we gotta do is the foils. I'm gonna keep Coral of the Void separate because it's still in its pre-release packaging. So we're gonna not sort that because then it's just a pain in the butt. So that's just gonna go at the bottom of our pile. And then foils, I sort them out the same way I did the rares. So it'll be color based, and then I also typically separate out like rare foils and non-rare foils. So we have blue, some colorless, green, white, red. And this one should be relatively easy to sort out. So we're going to put the rares, for example, in front of the non-rares. Why, you ask? No clue. I am a creature of habit. Are tripping me up. Oh, there's another cryo shatter. Heard me talking about how good it was. Wanted to show up. Ooh, oh boy! I almost dropped everything there. You see that? That would have been a disaster. Okay. It's always fascinating to me to go through and sort stuff after getting it and see. Like, I got 2 foil Glacier Godmaws, like 2 of the same foil uncommon, and yet I only got 1 Cryogen Relic, which is just a common. And, like, how does that even... I got 2 of the same rare, but I can't even get 2 of the same common? It's super weird. But I don't know. I don't know how things work. Looks like we are almost to the end, considering we just hit the Final Fantasy cards. And hopefully putting them in with all the other ones will help flatten them out. But we will see. I feel like I can't rely on that. So, syncopate, eject. Summon Fenrir is a phenomenal card, actually. I am very happy that I opened a foil one. Then we get the lands, so X-Death, Plains, but it's a fancy plane, so we're going to put it right there. We have a hero token. Is that a double-sided one? It is. Food. Definitely keep the hero. Xenos, black, so we should go after blue. And then Clash of the Icons. Akins? I don't know. I've never played Final Fantasy. You can roast me for that too. Clash. We can put that in our little box here. So there we go. Everything sorted out from my little box that I've been putting off. But thank you so much for joining me on this little adventure. Let's see if I can get the lid on this without messing up. There we go. Edge of Eternities. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. Like I said, this was my first video. If you have comments, please let me know. But hopefully I will continue to do these things in the future. And if you could, please like the video and subscribe to ASM Card, because that lets me know that what I'm doing works. So thank you again, everybody, and have a phenomenal day.